up cable on this cheap squeak, but so I just have it bypassed real quick. So let's see if we can figure out what the hum is. It doesn't look like the fix on the power chassis did anything, so we will start doing a cap replacement. We're trying to figure out what's causing all that hum. So I unplugged the cheap squeak power cable, and there's noticeably less hum right now, obviously, than what I was getting before. So I don't know if it's because it's not playing any music or not. So let me pause real quick, and I'll put it on test mode and play other sounds. And I'm in the test mode, and we're going to play, because I have the cheap squeak, the music's not going to play, so let me try this real quick. So definitely less hum. I mean, there's a slight little hum, but very faint. Let's see if I can. Just the volume a little bit. Powered off. And I have the Ohio State game on in the background, but plug in the power here. Now let's, yeah, definitely a very loud hum with the cheap squeak plugged in. So let me take the cheap squeak out. Okay, so we actually, talked about the power chassis and the power supply and how to test those. And I actually did this off camera. I tested this one in the cabinet because I have the power chassis in the cabinet now, so it's not as easy for me to test these on the bench. But this power supply itself didn't have any. The 5-volt line was low. It was at around 3 volts. So this was the test point for that, and and I could not adjust it with VR2. So no matter what I did with VR 102, it would just stay at around 3 point something volts. Wouldn't go any higher or anything. Of course, I was testing it without the PCB plugged in, etc. So. And actually, I don't have my fuse in here for my and this is for, what powers the 5-volt regulator. So no wonder why the 5-volt wasn't adjustable. I was going to test the capacitors and replace them real quick, but obviously the reason my 5-volt 5-volt wasn't adjustable is because I don't have the fuse that's required to power. I'm pretty sure it's U2 is the voltage regulator, and I can't remember exactly what this component is. It's either an amplifier or something like that. So anyway, that's probably what that is, but let's go ahead and test these capacitors too. So since I have it on the bench, I'll actually probably replace these if they test bad. Let's see that. Okay, let's test the 5 volt. So that's testing pretty high ESR wise, 0.45, which is good for less than 200 microfarads. And my cheat sheet says for 470, we should be around the 0.2 range. So this is probably, this capacitor is out of spec. So we're gonna replace. You can't really see that capacitor there, but it's the 5 volt. And this is the 12 volt, and look at that. Can you guys see that? That capacitor is testing at 71 only. So the ESR on this 12 volt capacitor is 71. That's pretty bad. So we know that that's out of spec. And then we'll test this one as well. Damn it. I probably saw the spark there. That thing holds a charge, probably because it doesn't have any resistor or something draining it that naturally drains it down. So that, I'll show you there. And this one's 0.63, so this one is also out of spec as well. If you guys can see that, so it's only that was referenced for a 200 microfarad cap at 0.62, but this is a 4700. It should be at 0.01 or something like that, 0.03, somewhere around those lines. So I'm going to replace all 3 of these, and then I'm going to spare you on how to replace capacitors because it's pretty easy. Just desolder these and solder them back in. Okay, one of the things I like to do is just test, since I have an ESR meter, and you never know when you're going to get a bad cap. I like to test them before I put them in. So this one is, not really testing super great for a 4700 capacitor cap. It's at 0.15, 0.14. Then 4700 should be around 0.12. I mean, it's close enough. I'm going to use it, but this is not probably one of the better ones, or lowest ESRs I've ever seen. And this one is a 470 microfarad, 25 volt, 0.12. 470. It's close. It's on the borderline. And this one here, 0.12, 0.13. So these aren't, super low. Let me see if I can grab some different caps and see if they measure any different. Okay. Got all the capacitors replaced. I didn't have any that were had a better ESR than these, so I'm sure these seem like they're okay. So should just be fine with it. The only other thing I did was, obviously I still need to put my fuse back in for that. I did reflow solder on all the connectors on the bottom. So for J4, J5. J3 and J6 there. Other than that, just put a fuse in and let's see what we have. I am interested to see if it doesn't have a battery, if that impacts the game starting. So I'm gonna find that out here in a second. Okay, so I replaced the power supply. This is a different power supply. Obviously, it's the one I just replaced the capacitors on real quick. That's the only thing I did to it, and reflowed the connectors on the backside. So, and I already checked the voltages and everything. So let's power it up and see what it sounds like. I don't hear a lot of hum. I don't hear anything, obviously. Let's see what the front does. Sounds pretty good. I hear a little bit of static from the speakers, but really not much at all. Sounds pretty good. So just replacing the capacitors and maybe reflowing solder on those connectors. I don't know. This power supply definitely sounds better. So we'll try doing it to the original power supply and see if it makes a difference. All right, we're back on New Year's Day, New Year's morning actually. So Happy New Year, everybody. This is the power board, not the original power board in the Spy Hunter. I actually had this one that we put in and replaced the caps that we're testing, close to out of spec on ESR. So we replaced the caps, reflowed solder on the connectors, and then put this power board into the Spy Hunter, and that eliminated our hum that we were getting through the speakers. Most of it was coming actually from the Cheap Squeak deluxe board that plays the Peter Gunn music, because I don't think I showed this on camera, but when I would unplug the Cheap Squeak board, the hum was noticeably lower. It was definitely a lot of it was being caused from the Cheap Squeak board, and that does use the 12 volts from C102 and the 12 volt regulated 12 volt circuit here on the board. So what I thought we'd do real quick is actually, now that I have the old capacitors out of the system, I think this was the 5 volt. I think it was set up like this. We could actually do a capacitance test on them. So we were actually testing ESR when they were in circuit, and they were close to being out of spec, we thought. So I figured what we would do is actually see if I can, where I can set this up at. Under capacitance here. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to turn our meter from off. Again, this is a great meter, this BM235. I mean, I don't even know if I had this on a capacitance test on my other meter. But we turn it to where it says diode, or the capacitance symbol up here, and then we press the select button, and it changes from whether it's a diode test or a capacitance test, and then you have 0.0 nanofarads is the default reading here. And we'll turn on our light so you can see it. So then what we're going to do is we're going to take our capacitor. This one is the 4700 filter cap, and we're going to put our positive lead on our positive and our negative lead on our negative, and it should read somewhat close to 4700 microfarads. And this goes to millifarads, which is okay. I think it's milli. Yeah, 4.36. So it's pretty close. I don't know if it's probably some 5%, plus or minus 5% as far as being within spec or something. 4.46. I would say this is probably close to being 4,700 microfarads. If so, I would say that capacitor is probably okay. Now this one is 470 microfarads. So we'll do the same thing. And this one seems like it's definitely out of spec. I mean, it's supposed to be 470 microfarads, and we're getting whoops. Kind of have to hold it there for a little bit. We're getting 30 microfarads instead of 470. That seems like that is out of spec by a lot. And I thought that was on the 5-volt line, so I probably wasn't doing a good job of anything there. Even though these are this is I think an additional filter cap, on top of the big ones that are in the power chassis. The fact that they're not within spec can't be helping. So, and let's see, this one is also, I think was on the 12-volt line. We'll go plus to this side, negative to that side, and we are at 78 nanofarads, and it's supposed to be 470 microfarads. So that's like 0.007 or something microfarads. So obviously these caps were not in spec. So I didn't actually try this board in the game, so I wasn't able to notice if this was causing any hum in the game for this particular board. But what we'll do real quick is with the board that we know for a fact was causing hum, we'll actually do the same test real quick and see if we can actually test this in circuit. I'm pretty sure usually you can't test this in circuit, but let's see what we get. So I'm going to go first test my 5-volt cap. That doesn't seem good. Okay, there we go. 4.64 mil. 4.64 millifarads. I don't know. That doesn't sound good. That was on the 5-volt cap. What's this one? 3.59. I might desolder one leg and test them that way. I'm going to replace the caps anyway, actually, so. Yeah, so that actually does look like, at least for this cap, because I know that there's no resistors. This one ends up holding a charge. It doesn't get decharged very well when you power off the game, because I've gotten sparked twice on it. But it does look like it's reading correctly in circuit. So I would suspect that these two, the 5-volt and the 12-volt caps, are out of spec. And I know that when we measured these ESR values, that they did not look like they were real bad, I don't think. I'll double check it. Just zeroing zeroing out the meter. I mean, it's close to being in spec ESR wise, 0.225 for 470 microfarad cap. Maybe a little high, but in this one, is even better. So let's go ahead and take these out. I'll be right back. I'm going to replace them real fast, and then we'll see if that fixed our problem. The other thing I noticed on this board is that let's see if you can you see that right there? Okay. This connector might have been replaced, connector J5. I don't know, but it's definitely has had some work done on the underside. It looks like crap, actually. And you know, there's probably no pad left here, so they created a little jumper over there to hold it in, I guess, or something. Or the front side doesn't make connectivity. So I'm going to double check that as well. But before I even do that, I just think that the issue is the caps, and I kind of want to eliminate one variable at a time. So I'm going to leave it like this. We're going to replace those two caps on the 5 volt and 12 volt line, and see what happens to our hum with the original power board. Okay, I desoldered the C102 and C106. See if you can see that real quick. Okay, this is C102 right here. So I think you do need to test these out of circuit. I could have just lifted one leg if I wanted to, but it's supposed to be a 470 microfarad cap, and it is reading 556 microfarads. So I would say that's probably close to being good. I mean, or if it is good, period. Cap, and the ESR wasn't terrible on that. So I have a feeling that maybe these caps are not our problem. And the 5 volt one, supposed to be 470, 545. So yeah, I definitely need to take them out of circuit to measure these, but both of them seem somewhat okay. Here is a supposedly good cap that I haven't used before. ESR is very similar. A little 538, so a little bit closer to the 470 range, but again, I have my doubts on whether these caps are actually going to do anything with our hum, and which would mean that maybe this connector is our problem, because I don't know. We'll find out. Alright, I have the board hooked up in the cabinet. This is the original board, so the only thing we've done is to this board is really replace those two caps, 5 volt and 12 volt regulated caps. And let's pull the interlock and see what we get. I don't hear wicked hum yet. I'm a little bit of hum, but I mean it's nothing like the annoyance that we were getting before, which is kind of strange here actually. Let's see about test mode here. Okay, we're in diagnostics. Alright. Go to our sounds. I'm shocked that the caps actually fixed it. Didn't seem like they were that far out of spec, but and that connector is not the issue, obviously. I don't hear the real bad hum. Turn the volume up a little bit. Sounds pretty good. One thing is, as it's playing all the sound effects, it says it's upside down because I have this disconnected, but it says right control volume. That's actually sound effects control volume, and left control volume is the music. So we'll turn that down a little bit. And the left control volume goes to the controls the volume on the Cheap Squeak Deluxe board, and this right one, where it says right anyway, controls the sound effects from the Super Sound or SSIO or whatever it's called soundboard that's part of the 3-board stack. So cool. Looks like it's fixed.